Well, I see two of you out there. Was a little bit late getting started because there was some stuff I had to figure out to go live that I didn't know I had to do on YouTube. But we're here now. It's you two. Hi, Mom. Hi, Brian. What are you up to? Are you at work or are you at home? Watching Jeopardy and waiting for Giants baseball. You lead an exciting nightlife. You know that? I'm gonna have to go to sleep and then wake up to watch the Giants game. Hi, Carlisle. Thank you. Does the audio sound good on your guys' end? I think I got everything plugged right. It's first time doing it this way though, so I'm not sure about that. Awesome. Good deal. If you hear a screaming toddler run through the house, you know who it is. Hi, Mark. How are you guys doing? Yeah, no, Bailey's not. Bailey would be chasing the screaming toddler. I was gonna go live on my phone, but there's been some like strong thermals blowing through, and I didn't want the audio to come through all windy because I was planning on going live outside with the horses and kind of doing that sort of thing, walking around and stuff. But I figured it just sound like wind on your end, and I didn't think you guys would appreciate that. Week's been pretty calm so far. Just getting ready to irrigate around here. Um, had a lot of sand blowing the ditches over the winter, so I've been playing tractor driver, digging those out. Moved some heifers today. Took Rush. Rush did pretty good. He's still definitely a 3-year-old. He 4-year-old, I guess now. He gets excited pretty easy about things. But I'm hoping to be able to take him to the Bunny Ranch Rodeo next year. So yeah, Mark, the new podcast equipment's working great. I've got one podcast recorded so far, and I'm using it right now. That's what I keep glancing over here for, is checking my audio levels, making sure I'm not making the colors that they shouldn't be. It's all color based on this thing, I guess. Um, Update on Thule. I know there's probably a more sophisticated way to do this, but about 5 minutes ago, I got this picture of her and her baby, her and her new baby. They both look pretty happy to me. If Thule's got both ears forward on you like that when her head's down, she's enjoying life. So they look pretty good. Yeah, the more Ryan, the more uh, the more experience Russ get, the better he'll do. It wasn't too far today. It was only about a mile just from a little pasture down the road to the next, but it was a good job for him. Jumping in the stock rack in the old Dodge that you helped me build, and took him in that. So, yeah, Thule's pretty good mom. So I'm really happy that she got a foal. That was a kind of a rough deal, but it worked out good. So that was a long trip up there to Idaho. I don't remember exactly what time I left. I think about 2 o'clock, and I got up to Boise there. Um, I think it was 9:30 or 10:30. No, it was 10:30 or 11:30 Nevada time, and Dropped her off and met the lady. I'm horrible with names. I forget her name. Dallas, that's her name. Met her and kind of showed her that Thule has some little quirks and showed her how to get around those. And they says we think we can handle her. So I turned around and fueled up and wandered around Walmart looking for food for a little bit and made it back to Jordan Valley and slept in the horse trailer for about 4 hours, I think. And when I woke up, it was right around freezing. It was a little bit chilly in the horse trailer. Buckarette. Hi, honey. That's my wife. So says I got 16 people in here right now, and I got 2 or 3 talking. So don't be scared to ask questions, guys. Same thing is on my channel. Just ask away. I'll answer the best of my ability. Yeah, it was worth a long night to get. I mean, she would have probably been okay without a foal, but she definitely was looking for Klinger, and she really wanted one. And of course, the difference it's going to have on that foal's life is going to be huge. You know, he'll grow up knowing how to be a horse and not end up being socially awkward or rude like a lot of bottle babies are. So it should be a good thing that way. Can you guys hear the cat? Bailey's obese cat that I call the bowling ball is making noise somewhere around the kitchen. I'm pretty sure you guys can hear because I can hear it through my headset. Oh, we got any? So who's watched the last video from pushing heifers up north? Anybody out there watch that yet? The second day is going to come out Friday. You did? Yeah. You know that country there, Mom. It's kind of a ways. Oh, Brian, you still got to catch up. Oh, come on, Han. You're watching Jeopardy when you got episodes of Rubuck to catch up on. Correct? Yeah, I know. I know you did. You got to deal with me when I got home all frozen. Mark, glad you watched it. Did you still want to be a cowboy after seeing how cold it was that day? Shame, Brian. Yeah, you're getting in trouble, Brian. We, where I'm at, we would have gotten ran down before we got out of the driveway. What do you mean ran down there, James? Well, that's good, Mark. If you're gonna be a cowboy, you got to be tough with it. There's some days that just aren't fun. Rubik takes precedence over Jeopardy. Good, good. Make sure and let Alex Trebet know. Is he still alive or did he just retire? I don't remember. Yeah, Shelby, we got to rope one the end of the day. She turned up lame. We noticed her about halfway through the push right after we got off the highway. And the cow boss rolls up in the pickup and he says, "Have you noticed that lame one?" And I said, "Yeah, I didn't think too much of it though." He says, "Well, if you can get an easy shot on her, go ahead and take it." And I pulled my rope down and she was right at the back. And for being lame, she was really, really watchy. So I kind of snaked around a little bit and went to take one run at her because I got her kind of cut off from the other bunch and everybody was still walking with their heads down. And took one run at her, and it's kind of soft, sandy ground, and the squirrels and badgers and stuff out there can make some holes that you can't see. So I just about got in position to rope her, and Luke jumped this big sagebrush, and I had my GoPro on my hat. Well, my hat wasn't totally tight, and it just about fell off. So instead of throwing my rope, I just reached up and pulled my camera back down on my head and quit riding Luke. And if you quit riding Luke, he's not gonna keep you in position unless you're actually riding on him. So she ran out in front of me and joined back up with the bunch, and I kind of slinked through the bunch, and they were all trailing real good. And just from running her that little bit, she ended up probably 2/3 of the way up to the lead, and she walked up in that lead bunch all the way till we got up to the meadow where we were going that night. Um, so I would have liked to have got her several miles earlier than what we did, but it wasn't worth scattering the bunch and running her all over when we knew that we were going to end up on those meadows where it'd be easy to rope her. So many cars they would have taken us all out. That doesn't sound like fun at all. Um, it's pretty nice out there. I think that whole day we had maybe 10, maybe 12 cars and a semi or two go through the bunch. It wasn't too bad at all. But it doesn't look as bad as it probably was. At least it wasn't wet. Wait until you see the video coming out Friday. It snowed on us. We started gathering out of that meadow. It's a spoiler alert right now. We started gathering out of that meadow, and I looked back towards where the headquarters of that ranch is, and it's just this ominous black snow cloud. And I mean, you can feel it just settling down in on us. And I forget exactly what I said to the camera, but like, man, I hope that don't hit us. And it did. We ended up just getting sideways snow, like not blizzard snow, the hard pelts, but like the big fat soft flakes that just hit you on one side and stick. And it made for some kind of cool shots. I messed up again. I had my winter cap that's got the ear flaps and the piece that comes around your chin and it's insulated. I had that in my pickup and I forgot to put it on both days, and I was sure feeling awfully dumb over that deal because it was miserable there for about the first 3 hours of the second day. Then the weather kind of broke as we got down onto the other part of the flats, and it turned nicer. Um, kind of maybe not warm per se, but it quit snowing on us and the wind quit blowing, so it definitely felt a lot warmer. Where are you out of, James? If there's that many cars around, do you is it when you move cattle, do you have to have like the police help you shut the roads down, or kind of just kind of just joking there, and it's just a pain with traffic. Traffic can be a pain sometimes. Okay, thank you, Brian, for saying that Rubuck takes precedence over Jeopardy. I feel pretty good about that now. Hi, Riley. It's going pretty good here. The irrigation's been turned on in the valley here. We started irrigating, I think, late last week, early this week, which isn't the most exciting, but I kind of like it. There'll be some videos of that, I'm sure, because one place that I irrigate for him here, I take and ride my colts in the water, and it's flood irrigating, so you can set the water and then kind of deviate off and do some other things for a while, and it's a really good way to get colts to learn that water and ditches and stuff like that's not a bad deal. Um, Lots of guys turning out right now. Lots of guys branding right now. I'll be going down to Central California this Saturday and Sunday to help a friend brand, and I'll make sure and get footage of that for you guys. To a place I've never been, and the only directions I got to it were take exit such and such, and that was it. So we'll find out. But it's going pretty good. It's been a dry, windy winter. Having problems. A lot of the ditches that have some sand next to them have blown in with sand. So we've been spending some time on the backhoe. I know that sounds real cowboy, but it is what it is. But just getting ditches cleaned out. So how's it going where you're at, Riley? You guys doing all your spring works or got them done or not started yet? Oh yeah, James in the southeast. That's a pretty different world out there. I can only imagine. We haul everything. We do our fair share of hauling too, depending on what it is and where. Like dry cows, we'll trail pretty easy. Heifers with calves, especially if they're really young calves, we'll try and either row deer them up in a corner or maybe a little panel trap or something and load the calves and push the cows or something like that. On the outfit I'm on now, we do our fair share of hauling. Some of the outfits, like when I go up north of Reno, there's just no roads to get a trailer around, and you've seen that on the videos. It's a lot of trailing. Um, moving side. Yeah, people don't have cow sense, and they're not very courteous a lot of times. Lots of fun, lots of footage opportunities and new fun to be had. Yeah, you betcha. Fair, I spent the winter feeding cows. I think we all did at a feedlot. Yeah, just getting my string ready for the pasture in a month. Well, that's awesome. Got a string of company horses or personal horses there, Riley? Yeah, Brian, just ranching. Sound like Dale Brisby, just ranching. Personal guys, that's a pretty good string of personal horses. Um, you guys have seen my string. I got the old man Luke, Rush, and Henry are the horsepower this year. I'm gonna lean pretty hard on Henry and Rush. Honestly, probably be not phasing Luke out by any means, but just using him for brandings and the nicer things. Henry's healed up really good after he decided to try and cut his head off. Dr. Torvik did a really good job on him. There's Once he hairs over totally, I doubt there'll even be a visible scar through the hair. Um, Decent pasture. That sounds like a pretty good gig, Riley. If that other guy's like a good friend and a good hand, that could be a really enjoyable job. Um, that grass line. So is there any cross fences in that, or how's the where? Well, I guess I should ask where are you from and where's the water? It sounds maybe like Kansas or Wyoming or something like that. Um, but that 3,000 pairs should keep two guys pretty busy through the summer, anyways. Oh, James, the cottons. If you're in, if you're in just humid kind of wet, the paint might help a little bit. But if there's like dew on the grass or if you're in water, no, the cottons still get miserable hard even when they're painted. Polys are probably your best bet if you're that wet. I I enjoy my cottons a lot more in the dry for sure, and I just deal with them in the wet and get by them. They're pretty miserable. Evening, Melvin from Saskatchewan, Canada. That's pretty cool. Riley, I'm in northern Canada. Boy, a lot of Canadians here tonight. That's cool. Alberta, right on Montana border. Oh man, I feel like a baby for complaining about my winter now, Riley. Sandhills of Saskatchewan. And it's cross fence and dugouts through, relocate and graze them off. Oh, that's awesome. So is that a kind of like a high intensity, low duration grazing on that deal, or just kind of as it needs to be sort of deal? Pretty cut back. Weird dry as can be, but rotate them around for about 5 months. Haul out in the fall. Yeah, droughts aren't fun. That's for sure. Your dugouts then are those meant to just catch rainwater, or have you got like some wells with submersible pumps in that you can keep water in them? Because if it's dry enough, the grass ain't growing. I imagine the dugouts are getting pretty low on water too, and hauling water dang sure cuts back on the profits. That gets expensive fast. I worked for an outfit, 7 years ago or so, and every drink of water or every drop of water those cows drank had to go through a semi truck and on two of the permits, anyways. And there was three or four guys on the crew, and 3 loads of water had to go out every other day. We just took turns and rotated through, spending all day rattling around in that semi. And every now and then it was kind of a good deal because the weather'd be really miserable, and other guys would be out of horseback, and you'd be in that semi with the heater on. So it worked out pretty good once in a while, but that was not a fun job. Whatever snow blows in you, so we got to haul water to the main. Yep. Few, but off local free use wells. Just use fuel wear and tear. Yeah, it makes it pretty nice when you can pump a little bit of water. Shelby says, I'm in eastern Montana here. We also very dry. Lots of cold this winter, but no snow. Yeah, Nevada was the same story. It wasn't a cold winter per se. We had a few weeks where it was pretty chilly, down single digits at night. I don't think we cracked below zero, but maybe once or twice. But dry and a ton of wind this winter. The wind just was relentless. It never wanted to quit, it seemed like. But a local free use well, that sounds pretty good. Just kind of everybody helps maintain it there, everybody that's got cattle. Odd day it works out, but some are off wells. We had little snow, but finished off the winter -45 Celsius. Yeah, I'm gonna admit I'm gonna convert -45 Celsius, but that sounds about like 15 or 20 below. Oh, well, -45 Celsius, 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. Oh, come on, phone. And it gave 49 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, I really feel like a baby for complaining about our winter now. That just humbled me pretty good there. That's cold. 49 below in Fahrenheit. That's cold. Yeah. Yeah, I can't call you Denise. I got to call you Mom. Yeah, the snowpack we got up in the mountains is the only reason we got 100% water year this year. Where this ranch sits, in Fallon here, any of the snow that is in the mountains up above Reno or around Lake Tahoe on this side, it'll run down either through the Truckee or the Carson River. And if it runs through Carson River, it all goes into Lahontan. And then if it runs through the Truckee, they can divert a certain amount of it at the Derby Dam there into Lahontan for us to irrigate with. So we're real grateful for the snowpack up there. I do know there was several places down here that had young crops in, and I imagine they stressed either bad enough the whole crop died or bad enough they just tore it out and replanted. So it was kind of rough on guys that were trying to get some new crops in here. Do I ride a spade or half breed at all? I ride a Mona Lisa. My wife got it for me um, for our anniversary several years ago. It was meant to be a full spade. Um, I had, what side's it on? I had this Les Vault bit in Luke's mouth and was packing salt out on the desert. Had 3 jughead pack horses behind me. I mean, they were one or two of them were ex-bucking horses, and the other one was just a suicidal maniac. But anyways, I stepped off a Luke and was loading salt onto my pack string, and all hell broke loose. I don't remember who started what, but for some reason, my pack horses decided they were all going to blow apart, and they rim fired Luke with one of the leads, and everybody scattered out across the desert. Well, Luke got himself calmed down and all that, and he made it about a mile before I got to him. But somehow in all this, he'd got my bridle reins flipped up over his head, and he'd stepped on my oh, I'm drawing a blank. My popper. I can't remember the name of it. Anyways, he'd stepped on his reins enough where that last bolt had cut his tongue really, really bad. And when I got to him, there was so much blood coming out of his mouth. I thought he cut it off. It scared me pretty good. So I pried his mouth open and could see that it was just cut on either side where that bit sets. So I put him back in a hackamore for probably 6 months and gave him as much time off as I could afford for him. And I put that bit, once it healed over, I put that bit back in his mouth because it was the only one I had at the time. And he basically couldn't feel it. I mean, it was like I felt bad with how hard I was having to cue him with my reins because he was trying to be pretty soft mouthed up in that point. I mean, he was never soft mouthed or automatic, but he was trying. So I rode him in another little homemade kind of sort of spade, little homemade bit that I traded for a while. And he got along with that pretty good. And then my wife got me that Garcia that I ride him in now, and it's got the Mona Lisa. And it's just different enough from that Les Fault to where he feels it pretty good. He's not like you guys saw in the Bunny Ranch Rodeo video. He's not scared to grab it and run off when he thinks that he needs to, or thinks he's had enough of a situation. But I imagine he would feel a full spade pretty good. I'm not sure if I'm gonna try and take Rush up through the 2 rein, um, Rush or Henry, I should say, up through the 2 rein into the spade. I would like to, but I've got a real knowledgeable friend that he's got some vast knowledge on bits and horsemanship, and he's kind of been planting the seeds in my brain of maybe trying something a little bit different. So I haven't decided with them, but I I do like the concept of the full spade and the fact that when it's done correctly, a bridle horse runs just off the weight of the chains and the bridle reins for his cues. I do love the way they can pack them. I've rode my fair share in a snaffle bit. Hi, Michaela. Um, and I don't, I just never quite did get the feel in a snaffle bit that a lot of guys do that do really well with them. And that's on me. That's nothing against the snaffle bit itself. So we had you read a spade or half braid. It was chilly to feed and work pens. Yeah, does how I mean if you were feeding, they have to cut diesel pretty hard up there to get that cold and not chill it. 53 below with wind chill, probably just another day for Canada. Yeah, you guys, you plug like everything in, or do you let when it gets that cold with the wind chill and stuff, do you let things idle overnight? I went to college in Iowa and we got down that cold a few times and they just let the tractors idle all night. They never shut them off. Yeah, Riley, this less vote here. It's got an interesting story. My stepdad passed away real sudden, and went to the house to see my mother like that day. I think it was the next day, and I went into the shop, and hanging on the wall right behind the old Brandon pot we used to have was this bit, and I had never seen it before in my life. Um, so it really means a lot to me. That's why I don't write anything in it now, is I don't want to hurt it. I don't know if the camera can pick it up on my webcam, but you could see just a little bit of blue paint on it. If you watch the podcast that Dalton from 310 Ranch Life had me on, I talked about painting a cotton rope and not letting it dry all the way before I went to a branding. That was the bit I was riding. That's why there's blue paint on it. I put everything in a heated shop. That probably makes a big difference up there. Pat Puckett has a good horse straight up in the bridle. Cool horse. Melvin, I'll be honest, I haven't watched anything of Pat's. I, to be totally honest, I don't consume the type of content I create, which is probably a little bit different to hear. When I get done with my day, I come in the house and I don't want to watch more cowboy and stuff. I want to be with the family, or now it's editing videos or um, stuff like that. I honestly, I probably should try and familiarize myself with the other creators that are creating content similar to mine. So that's something I should watch. Yeah, had the blue horse, Poncho. Yep, the gray turned blue. Man, he was probably mad at me that day. Poncho was he kind of had sensitive feelings, and I imagine that probably boogered him. Plug him in Webasto heaters. Keep the coolant all hot and flows through our heated shop as well. Huh, I've never heard of that, Riley. Webasto heaters. I'm gonna look that up real quick. If I could type on my phone, WBA STO heater. Oh, I see it. It just splices into your radiator hoses. It's a lot. I've seen kind of the same things. My old yellow truck that I've got that stock rack on has like a $20 version of that, basically. Super cheap compared to this, but those look like really nice heater setups. I hope I never do, but if I ever end up in country cold enough to need one of these, they look like really good products there. Yeah, keeping the coolant hot does so much better than like just a block heater that's in that kind of cold up there. I remember in Iowa the block heaters were almost they were used, but they weren't as good because it's like with that wind chill, especially on a tractor where like the blocks exposed, it would only keep part of the block warm. Run, yeah, especially if you can run it off a portable welder. That sounds like a real handy thing to have. Every 20 years or so, Nevada will get super cold. Probably not that cold, but cold enough that, like around Elko County, they get cold a lot up there. They get a lot colder than we do over here on the western side of the state. Um, and when the state gets super cold, Elko County is absolutely frigid. I imagine some guys around there have those, especially on the mines and stuff like that. How do you heat that shop, Shelby? You got like a geothermal? I bought one from a truck with Canon. Now I wouldn't be without it. I don't blame you up there at all. That cold is not something to mess around with. So Mick and Mac, you got a 4-year-old today, huh? All right, Riley. Have a good night yourself. Thanks for your time here. Look forward to seeing you in the comments on the videos. I'll try not to complain about the cold too much. That's awesome, Mick and Mac. A little bit of content. Mick and Mac have a filly, or mare now, I guess technically she's 4 today, that my wife and I raised and sold to Mick and Mac there, and they love her, and they give me updates, and they're doing a great job with her. Shelby says boiler and in floor heat. That floor radiant heat is really nice. Yeah, 4 years have gone by quick. She was the first one we bred actually first one bred. And well, Henry was kind of a planned accident, I guess you could say, and he still kind of is. Yeah, I laughed when you posted. I think it was a Facebook reel the other day, Mick and Mac, and you got Billy, and she just walking along, and uh, and you said she just moves out, and I thought, man, she's just like her mother. Melvin, the first rodeo was last weekend. It was Saturday in Layton, California, and then Sunday was in LaGrange, California. Yeah, her mother's just like that too. Very forward, eh, very very eager to go to work. I think she'll do pretty good whatever you choose to do with her. Yeah, she has things to do exactly. 100%. Um, Melvin on the member side of the channel. Yeah. Yep. For the bareback riding. The member side of the channel got their video about noon today on how it went. It had some good and bads. Got one road, got bucked off of one. I'm happy with it. I'm looking forward to the next one. So the video that everybody that's not a member of the channel got, um, a couple of the guys that were behind the buck and shoots there seen my GoPro camera, and they says, "Hey, can you film my ride?" And well, word got out, and I just decided, you know what, I'll film everybody's ride. Well, and then they said, "Hey, can you send me that ride, that video?" I said, yeah. So I got thinking about it, and I had about 8 or 9 different guys that were wanting videos, and I thought I'm just gonna put everybody's ride on one video on YouTube, and then send the link out to them. So that's what that is. But it was that was my first bareback horses in not quite a year, and prior to that, it'd been about 13 years before I'd got on one. So it's as every bit as much fun as I can remember, and it's a little bit different of experience now because I'm the old man behind the buck and shoots. I met one saddle bronc rider that's older than I am. Everybody else was younger and high school and college aged, and just a few of them after college aged. There's some talent coming up. Um, Even in the association that I'm rodeoing in now, it's a pro rodeo association in all technicality, but it's an amateur rodeo association. They just don't call them that, which that's nothing demeaning there. Um, but even that association, there's some talent in these young kids, and for a while there, the rough stock really took a dip in the quantity and quality of riders that were coming up, and that's one reason or another. Um, and I saw several kids there had, maybe not the most natural ability, but enough grit and try that they'll stay with it and they'll do just fine. I made friends with one young man just going to graduate high school this year, and he just uh, he just has try and he has a love for it, love for the sport, love for the game, and it was pretty cool to see that. It's like the PRCA and a lot of the stock contractors are putting on free youth camps to help get these kids into it, get them on stock that's good for them. Because one of the worst things you can do is and not necessarily when I say kid, I just mean somebody new to the sport. But one of the worst things you can do is get a kid on stock that is not what they need. Rather, that stock just runs off, doesn't buck, or bucks way too hard. Like I think, and I'm not a stock contractor, and I'm sure that a stock contractor would have a lot more to say about it. But I think probably one of the hardest things to do is to put a pen together to go to a school where you're going to have kids getting on for the very first time or kids that are really riding well. Because in the end, it's a school. You don't need anything that they can go out there win the round on per se, but they need to learn on. And that horse that a kid's going to learn on his first ride, he needs to just kind of go out and hog off and buck just a little bit. He doesn't need to run off because the runoffs are scarier than the ones that buck way hard. Um, but you got that kid that's riding really well, and he's at that school to up his ability. He needs one that bucks hard enough to give him the opportunity to work on it, but doesn't buck hard enough to put him into where he's just worried about riding that horse. So I give a lot of credit to the stock contractors and the PRCA and all the other associations and guys that are putting on schools for the youth right now. I think it's starting to pay huge dividends. Look at the number of 18, 19, and 20-year-old bareback riders at the NFR last year. I mean, that was awesome to see. Um, so it's starting to pay dividends now, and they're doing more of it now than they were when those kids cracked out. So it's going to keep getting better. It's an uphill swing for sure. Any upcoming rodeos? The next rodeos for that association are right around the 1st of May, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to make those. We may have some conflicts with work, um, and branding season and spring turnout and all that. Um, but I'm hoping to find some practice pens. Um, the young man I was talking about that's just looking to graduate high school, he's planning on coming over and riding the bucking machine with me a couple times. He's been riding another one here in town. He's kind of local, about an hour away from here. But if he does that, I'll make sure and get videos of that. That way you guys can see how we practice and how we go about thinking and and helping each other, because it's one of the very few sports where, um, like Darian, the guy that won the bareback riding last week or last Sunday, I got off my horse and was walking back and seen him tying his glove on, and another bareback rider, or might have been a saddle bronc rider, I don't recall, but was pulling his rigging. Well, to pull a bareback rigging the right way, you should have a guy on either side. It can be done without, but I jumped up there and went to pulling his rigging, got it set, and he proceeded to take my entry fees with it. And that's how rodeo is, and I'm happy for him. He made a pretty cool ride. He's a tough guy for sure. Um, the camaraderie in rough stock events at rodeo is second to none. I don't think there's another sport like it. So, how about you? Are you going to be Mick and Mac? Are you going to be running your big paint horse in the barrels? Did she turn up sound, or is she still lame? Yeah, Shelby, I plan on going to as many brandings as I can, and I think every cowboy ever says that. Um, I will. I'll do the branding videos just like the day working videos have been. It'll be one branding per episode. Um, Several places I go are a few days, so you'll be able to see that. And I'll of course try and tell the whole story of the branding. You know, if we have to gather that morning, or if not, or camps and stuff like that. Just the stuff that interests me and the memories that I make is what I try and put into the videos. And I dang sure am looking forward to filming Brandon season. Um, I got I have a drone now, and I tried to fly it once with my old cell phone, and it wouldn't work. And I have a new phone now, and I need to get the drone out. That way, I can give the drone to somebody and let them fly that around at the brandings, mainly to make everybody else rope worse when they hear the drone, so I look better. But no, I'm just kidding. That should be some pretty cool shots. Um, the willow corrals, man, I have some good memories in those willow corrals when I started at that ranch. We thought we'd do it old school one day and get some cool pictures, and we took a colt out there out of the cavity that had never been touched. And the cow boss and me, my wife, and a Peruvian. Well, the cow boss did all the work, I guess. He got on that colt right there in those willow corrals for the first time that we had just got out of the cavity and ran into the trailer. And it was just, I mean, it wasn't anything different in terms of breaking that colt or whatever, doing it kind of the quick way, the cowboy way. But the fact it was in a willow corral, that definitely added something to it. And one of my wife's favorite pictures she has is of the cow boss of that outfit riding that colt, and the sun's going down and the sky's all orange and the corrals are kind of lit up. I don't know if she has that picture anymore. It was on one of her phones. I have to ask her. I don't know if she's still watching or not. Maybe maybe if you have that picture, honey, text it to me and I'll throw it up on screen. But she's sound now, legging her up. Plan to hit the barrels this summer. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Mickey Mac. You were pretty bummed out when she was lame, but I told you she'd be all right. The paint, they're too damn stubborn to stay lame very long. So I'll have to look. Thanks, hon. Um, yeah, that that set of willow corrals is the only set of willow corrals that I've been around. Oh boy, we have a bot. I don't know how to help that. Let me see. Let's see if I click that. Put you. I'm just gonna click hide user on this channel and then remove. Boom! Look at that. Just did my first moderating. As I was saying, that's the only set of willow corrals that I've been around that I know that I'll be around. And I seriously doubt we'll do anything in those corrals again other than just kind of walk past them like we did. The way that desert is, that meadow is real handy when you're turning out, when you're gathering, but kind of not too much happens there. It might, operators change how they do things. Another set of corrals on that outfit's an old set of wood corrals at a really cool cow camp that I spent a lot of time at and hold very dear to my heart. And I do look forward to getting back there and getting some video of Brandon there. Usually that's a pretty big happening because it's a whole gather on the desert. And the way that cow camp sits, it's in a couple different corners of the pastures. And I say pastures, but they're 100,000 acre pastures. So you gather a brand and you turn out a different side of the cow camp, and they go out to a whole new part of the allotment that they haven't been. Pretty spot. It's one of those spots where there's a feel to it to be there, and just to be a part of it makes you happy. So hopefully we'll get some video of my baby girl carrying the nut bucket or the spray, helping out this year. All right, Brian. 2 a.m. does come fast. Thanks, my friend. You be safe too. Imagine you're going to work if you're getting up that early. So you be safe in the mine out there. Yep, there's Brinley's cameo right there. You'll catch up on them videos. All right. You're I know what you do for work, so you have no reason not to. Oh, you don't have the photo anymore, honey? Darn. Well, it lives in our memories, I guess. It was a good one. Yeah, branding, Mick and Mac brandings are always just it's a fun time of year, and it especially if you get kind of in a rotation where you go to certain brandings and see certain people, and oh, your kid's getting bigger. Oh, that colt's coming along nice, or how haven't seen you in a year. How's it going? That's a super cool feeling. It's branding season is my second favorite time of the year in terms of the ranch world, and my first favorite is foaling season. Um, it meant I got to sit on my horse all day. Yes, that's why I do what I do, so I can sit on my horse all day because I don't like to walk. If I could figure out how to do the fun cowboy stuff without the cows in the equation, I would, but it's kind of in the name. I have been directly quoted as saying, "I don't even like cows. I'm just a cowboy so I can ride my horse." I get it. I totally get it. Yeah, it's foaling season could have went better this year, but like I said, it ended up good because there's a foal that got a mother that needed one. Tully's good mother. Brandon season's definitely something to look forward to. Can you guys hear Brinley in the background, or am I just picking that up in my headphones? Yeah, Spring Creek's got lots of that stuff going on. Spring Creek's growing so big, I don't know how much it's been, how long it's been since you were there, but man, just even in the 10 years that I know, it's gotten huge. Spring Creek and Elko kinda just grew together over top of that hill. I don't think there's really much space in between them anymore. How's Robbie doing? Mickey Mac, he's staying safe and all that good stuff? Good, working a lot, good. Well, tell him I says hi if you would. Yeah, Mason, for ranch ropes, I have used untreated cottons for the past couple years. I started that because I got one that was painted, and I traded for it, got along really, really well with it. And at the time when I was buying them, I was working for an outfit where I roped quite a bit, um, and I was wearing poly ropes out. And I found these cotton ropes lasted a lot longer than poly, and they're not quite as soft as a poly a lot of time, or as heavy as a poly, but they last a lot longer. So I started using them, and then just from talking to other cowboys, I figured out you could treat them with linseed oil to make them heavier and a little bit softer and act a little bit more like a poly. And then I went through a couple of them because that very first one I traded for was painted, and figured out how to paint them, which is there's a couple videos on my channel of treating them and painting them, of course, and have been really happy with them. They get really stiff when they get wet. That's their biggest fault. Um, and they kind of have a mind of their own. They get kind of kinky um, when you use them. So like I'll rope with one all day at a branding, and it stays pretty good. At the end of the day, the branding, you just find a real good stout fence post, put your loop around that fence post, and run the length of it across your saddle horn a time or two. And as you pull it and let go each time, it'll twist a bunch. You just do that till it quits twisting like that, and then it's good to go again. The more you use a cotton rope, especially one that's been painted, the more you use it, the better it's going to feel. As you use it and run it across your horn, the paint will get knocked off the high spots and it'll fill in the low spots. And the best cotton ropes out there that are painted, they're as smooth as garden hose on the outside. They've been painted 2 or 3 times. They're just smooth and slick. They don't get hot in your hand when they're like that. Brand new, them cotton ropes get real hot. Um, do I use any 310 ranch life ropes? I have the video I posted last Friday when when I necked that heifer and Pat healed her and we tied her down. That was a silverback from 310 poly, or from 310 ranch life, and it's one of their polys. And that's a good feeling rope. Um, uh, Planning on taking it with me and maybe a tracer this weekend to the branding in California. We'll see. Thanks, you're going to take my cotton. Um, Mick and Max says he's good, working a lot, 3 years left until he retires. Well, he deserves it. Then we will try in Wisconsin to freeze your butt off. Yeah, you can join all the Canadians that were in here talking about how cold it is, and you let me know, and I'll give you a thumbs up from here, Mick and Mac. Doggity do. Congrats on the 3K subs. Give old Luke a pat for me. Hey, you betcha. I was gonna do this live stream from my phone outside with the horses. And I was gonna try and remember to buy a bag of carrots because Luke will sell his soul for a carrot. And I was gonna wait until somebody mentioned him and then give him a carrot, but there was some thermals blowing through, and I just thought the audio would have been horrible. West Coast cattle time. Where and see you're going? Somewhere around Patterson, but that's all I've been told. I don't know where other than that. How do you like that tracer, Mason? I swung one. I haven't actually used one. It felt pretty good. It almost reminded me of a Riata just a little bit. Um, have how do you get along with them? Are they pretty resilient? No, Mick, I wouldn't be looking for the cold either. I spent a winter in Wisconsin. I experienced it. I had my fun. I'm done. Thank you. Shelby says, give us your opinion on that tracer. I've been thinking about. Will do. Yeah, I was talking with Dalton today and told him I'd like to get a tracer down here for Brandon season. He said he was going to try and get it to me by the weekend. So if it's here, I'll dang sure use it and give my 2 cents on it and all that good stuff. Like I said, I plan on taking the Razorback. Is it Razorback or Silverback? I'm sorry, Dalton. I can't remember. I think it's Silverback, honestly. Take that Silverback, see how I like it. So, can you guys hear Brinley giggling in the background? I don't know what she's giggling about, but she is wound up. Mason's it's pretty good so far. I took it to one branding, but it's also my first ranch style ropes with. Yeah. So what are you used to, Mason? Were you used to like calf ropes or nylon team ropes or? And I imagine being a ranch rope, it's probably a bit longer than what you're used to. Um, how's what I guess kind of what's your style of rope? And you rope on rubber or you a slickhorn guy? Or, I mean, I'll talk your ear off about roping and ropes. Yeah, as I was saying though, Shelby, I look forward to roping with that tracer. Kaylee and Rain, thank you. I appreciate that. It's pretty cool to see the channel growing. I'm really enjoying the community that I'm building. Um, the support over Klinger that you guys gave, and that and I see you guys as the channel, but the support there, and then the support on Rodeo, and again, they've been really awesome to feel. So thank you for the congrats, and I look forward to continuing to grow the channel. And there's some cool things out on the horizon that I'll mention when the time's right. But it's it's turning into something that I look forward to every time I gotta upload a video or edit a video or anything like that. Like I just thanks, honey. Um, Buckarette Envy is my wife, just so you guys know, and it makes sense when I keep saying honey. But yeah, I really enjoy it. My wife gets the credit for starting the church and all that. Or starting the church. Sorry, I just read Mason's last name on the chat. For starting the channel, she got me the GoPro for Christmas a couple years ago, and says, "Well, you ought to film what you do because there's, some of your family has no idea, like they're inner city." And so I did, and it's just kind of took off from there. I get a lot of positive feedback. But yeah, she says you've been working so hard. Yeah, there's been some times where I've spent maybe too much time on the computer, but it is what it is. Mason says nylon team ropes. I used team rope, so I use rubber. Okay, got a 40 foot, but seems a lot larger than my old team ropes. Yeah, larger in diameter. You mean versus team rope? I could see that. Um, I forget the exact measurements, but you get like into the like the 5/16 would be a little bit smaller than like some of the 3/8 ranch ropes. They just feel huge, but they're stout. Like if you've got if you if you got to drag stuff in a trailer, or a 50 foot, I mean 40 foot or 50 foot ranch rope that's one of the big stout 5/8, like or not 5/8, 5/16, 3/8. I don't know my math. The bigger ones. That's what you're going to want to use because they're not going to snap. And if anybody on here has ever had a rope snap dragging something in a trailer, whether the trailer cut it or the cow hooked a hinge just right or whatever happened, that rope comes back, it hits you in the thigh at Mach 9. It hurts really bad. So the bigger ropes are definitely better for that. Um, I don't like to drag things into a trailer with my cotton just simply for the fact that they're not as tough as the nylons are in terms of getting abused like that. If you've got like a pipe trailer though, um, like out here in this area, the Donahue trailers are really popular because they at one point they were really cheap and they're fairly tough. But if you've ever been around a Donahue trailer, you know how bad it'll cut a rope. I mean, it's the way the edges are on it. It's just a knife. Like you got to weld some sucker rod or something in there to be able to do it. But like if you got a pipe trailer that's all smooth corners, not any sharp corners, um, I wouldn't think twice about using my cotton rope, I guess. But the nylons are more resilient. That's about the biggest fault of the cotton, in my opinion, is that a sharp edge on a trailer will scuff them up a bit. But you can just keep using them, and eventually the little scuffs seem to go away. So Steve says, "Congrats, bro." Thanks, my friend. I appreciate that. I hope you're doing well. Where do you buy your untreated cotton ropes? I had been buying them from either D-Bar in Reno or Capriola's in Elko. I think, though, I'm getting Dalton from 310 talked into selling them untreated. Been working on that for you guys. That way I can give you a good answer there. I'm sure if you called Dalton and just asked for one untreated, he'd take care of you. He's, I haven't got him convinced to paint him yet, but when you paint him, like you've seen on the channel, you got to get them broke in first. You can't paint them fresh or they just turn miserable. So yeah, you betcha. Yeah. One thing when West Coast, when you're looking at untreated cotton ropes, not one cotton rope untreated will ever feel like another one. And typically they come in two different styles. The colored ones, like oh, it's hanging outside, like the red, white, and black, or the red, white, or blue, white, and black that I've got right now. They came like with a regular Honda tied in them already. I think Capriola's might have been buying them from Dalton. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. And those typically are on the softer end of the spectrum, where if you see an untreated cotton rope that's just all white in color and it's got a metal teardrop shaped Honda in the end of it, those are going to run on the stiffer end of the spectrum. And they're coiled up. I mean, just it's not a round coil; it's a square coil. So depending what kind of rope you like, a little bit stiffer or a little bit softer, that might help you out there. So I know you can get those white. No worries, Mason. I know you can get those white untreated cottons in 88-foot lengths, and depending how long you like rope, like if you like a shorter rope, like a 44-foot rope, buy one of those 88 foots, cut that sucker in half, and you got two ropes right there ready to go. You just got to tie your own Hondas in them. Dalton showed me a really neat trick. The plastic speed burners will move around on those cottons a lot. They'll slide around inside the Honda. He just takes a couple wraps of athletic tape, and like one or two wraps is all, and clips over them. So, oh, thanks, Mason. Yeah, that's pretty cool. The channel's growing. This is the first live stream I've done, really. So are you pretty new to the channel then, Mason? But yeah, that athletic tape on the Hondas will keep that speed burner from wanting to walk around so bad. And I had one cotton that was really light feeling. I linseeded it. I don't remember if I painted it, but I linseeded it, and it just felt really light. It never wanted to carry when I threw it as well as I wanted. So I took baling wire and I wrapped where that speed burner would sit with baling wire for the weight, and that gave it some weight that helped, and it worked just as good as a regular speed burner. So I think I'm probably only going to go probably another 10 minutes here on the live, guys. Brinley's getting hungry, I imagine, and I'm getting kind of hungry, and I know Bailey's hungry. She comes home from work hungry, and I didn't have anything ready tonight, but don't tell her that. So, yeah, fairly new. I keep accidentally submitting before I finish, but the first video I saw was one man doctor video. It was incredibly impressive, the calmness you had. But thank you, Mason. It just comes from doing it. Yeah, always with a piece of pizza. That's my wife right there. I tell you what, honey, we can get pizza tonight because you're putting up with me hogging the living room to be on the internet podcast live streaming. But yeah, the calmness just comes with as funny as it is to say, the calmness comes with getting in wrecks, because when I learned to doctor by myself, it was an absolute train wreck sometimes. I had every kind of runoff and wreck, and the calf would get up, the yearling get up, horse would run off, the horse would, I was fortunate I never had a horse that ran off with the calf attached. You seen the way I take my dallies and pass the body of the rope under itself against my saddle, and then take my coils with me. The 2 or 3 times I did give a horse more credit than they deserved, and he did try and cut and run on me, I was able to get that popped out of there, so they drove, but eventually the end of the rope ran around the saddle horn. One thing I'm huge on is not setting your coils over your saddle horn when you've got one tied down. That's a wreck. That's a saddle destroying, horse crippling, calf killing wreck. The calmness just comes from, I try and do everything the same way every time, given it's the same situation. I might tie them just a little bit different depending what I'm doing. I think actually in that video I put a put a tie string on my belt and said I'm not going to tie him down, and then I did end up tying that one down or tied her front feet together or something. Um, but yeah, just if you're new to doctoring by yourself, um, just just do it and you'll get calm. You'll learn to see things before they happen. In that video, when I set the trip that worked when she was up on that little manure hill, I wasn't running up there to set that trip, but you'll learn like to keep your rope over her right hip but above her knees, and that's the only reason that trip worked. Is when she turned back into me, I was able to just drop my arm to give the slack for her to step over it, and then raise my arm to pull the slack out to make the trip work. You'll learn little things like that just by doing it. How do you work with your horses on keeping the line tight while you're off the horse? Get as short as possible. Um, I have no beef with tied off guys or guys that doctor on the end of a long rope. I have no problems with them. They do it their way. It works for them great. For me personally, no matter how experienced the horse is, I get as short as possible. And especially on a young horse, when you get your animal tripped and laid down and you're gathering your rope back up and you're getting ready to step off, you need to get so short as to, if that horse takes another step forward, he's going to step on the animal. And then you can do things like take your ties to where it'll pop, like I showed you, and then maybe pass it in front of the horse's neck and around that rope to where they've got a brace either side if they try and walk. Um, I had a horse, a company horse that I was riding in the snaffle bit, and he would do great for like the first 30 seconds you were on the ground, and then he would get bored and just turn his head and try and walk off. And he would walk through the pressure of a like a neck rope, like a calf roper would use. I tried that with him, and it was kinda better, but not really. Um, so I got to where I'd get my animal tripped, and I would tie him down a lot more than normal, just strictly for the sake of teaching. And I carried a short rope just for this, but I would take and run that rope right through the ring on the snaffle and then up to my saddle horn and the other ends down there to where he couldn't move his head. He had to have his attention on it. Be pretty careful when you're in that scenario. Make sure your animal's tied down, whether the horse is there or not. Um, Pressure and release, basic horsemanship. He stood there, face that, realized that he had to look at that animal, that what a calf or yearling, whatever it was, and of course, then just give him the release, and just build on it, little steps. Don't take a new horse that's never done it and expect him to help you doctor a 600 weight yearling or 700 weight yearling. That's not fair to him. Um, Start, with some maybe calves that maybe wiener sized calves are pretty good to start, especially if they're a little bit calmer. Smaller than wiener is fine too. Just do everything you can to keep it calm. It's the biggest thing, and they'll learn that it's less work for them to stand there and lean against that rope than it is to have to run that animal down and chase it again. Um, because they will dang sure realize that. Do you have any tips on getting a young horse to stay calm when roping? I have been having a lot of trouble with one horse. I've roped quite a bit of him, but he still panics. West Coast, did you see the video that came out about a month ago? It was entitled Patience in Practice or something like that. Let me see if I forget what I titled it here. But it's exactly what you're wanting to know. It was called Patience and Faith. There, West Coast, you're going to want to watch that video. I did that exact thing with Rush, and the outcome you're looking for right there. Basically, get a roping dummy and go rope the dummy horseback, and your horse's only job is to stand there with all 4 feet on the ground and he's head down. And take as much time as it needs. Again, basic horsemanship, pressure and release. I think I threw 10 or 12 loops off of him that day, and he stood there good for me, so I called it. So, yeah, and just I appreciate the questions, guys. I'll give you one last chance to ask anything, and then I'm gonna wrap it up for the night and go get my wife some pizza, or else I am gonna get in trouble, and that's not a good scenario. Did you guys? One question I want to ask you: did you guys enjoy the live? Is it something you'd like to see maybe once a month or something like that? Is it was it something you'd come back and do again? You think? Thank you, Shelby. Hey, thank you, and you're welcome, Mason. Don't be scared to ask questions on videos that are dropping. I'll answer them as much as I can. Vaquero, you got it. Live is awesome. Keep it up. I appreciate it, and I appreciate all the comments. I recognize you from a lot of comments in the video there, Vaquero. Mason, enjoyed live. Awesome. Great. West Coast. Yeah, perfect. All right. Well, maybe we'll try and Kaylee, pizza. Well, we'll meet you in town for some pizza, Kaylee. Okay. Well, maybe we'll do this like a once a month thing. Yeah, you're welcome, Steve. Thank you. Yeah, Vaquero, I enjoy having you here. We've had some good discussions in the comments, if I remember correctly. So, alrighty, guys. Well, I will catch you guys on the next live, and Friday's video is going to be a not as cold as it could be cold day. But that's that. Love watching anytime. Enjoy your night. You too, Kaylee. Thank you. Spiro, I was wondering where you've been all night. You were. I'm glad you're here. Glad you enjoyed it. I thought for sure I'd see a little bit more of you in the chat, but maybe next time. It was good to have you here. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So, alrighty, guys. I will catch you on the next one as soon as I figure out how to shut the stream down here. Perfect. Adios, guys. Vaya con Dios.